It's me again. It's Friday. And this means, what book did I read this week? Well, I don't know if you want to call this a book, but I read this week. And it's actually probably a digest magazine, if you want to put it that way, but I read it, so. And I just finished it last night. I'm also reading another book, but I'm not done with it yet. So anyway, let's talk about this. The Girl from u.n.c.l.e. magazine, June 1967. The deadly drug affair. Mindless, unknown men were nodding to Thrush's command, obeying blindly and dying like flies. One thing clue April Dancer had to that village of the living dead. And if she failed, she must join them in oblivion, and only Mark Slate could bring her back alive. And that's not really what happens, but it sounds good. So I read that when I first started reading this book, and I was like, oh, but I read the book and I was like, well, it didn't quite go like that, but okay, you know, that's what happens. June 1967, Volume 1, Number 4. So they go to this small village, 150 people. And most of the people in the village are kind of like mindless. You know, they go about, you know, the business. They do the things they do and everyday stuff, but they're kind of like mindless. There's only 2 or 3 people in the village that are not mindless. And it's like, Uncle knows, you know, something's going on here, right? Thrush is behind it, obviously. So it's a story about that, how they, you know, how they find out what's going on with the people. And you have to get an, what's that word? Why are some people walk around and you tell them to touch their nose, they touch their nose, or stand on 1 foot and they stand on 1 foot, and other people are not like that. They kind of wonder, why is that going on? Like, how come these people aren't affected like the other people? There's got to be a reason, right? So anyway, the story is about that. So April Dancer, she infiltrates the, you know, the doctors and the people at Thrush and get a job there and stuff. You know, I haven't coughed all day. Now I start making videos and I start coughing. But anyway, this is the story, or the book I read, digest book. Excuse me, jeez. Yeah, The Deadly Drug Affair. 1967's digest, The Girl from u.n.c.l.e. So another little, I don't know if you can see it, but alright, yeah. Starring April Dancer and Mark Slate. Noel Harrison. You know, he had that big hit in, what, 66 or something like that? I could be wrong, but, you know, Suzanne, you know, Suzanne takes you down to a place near the river. Anyway, yeah, that was one of his big hits. He didn't have a lot of hits, but that was one of them. And I think he was Rex Harrison's boy. So there you go. The Girl from u.n.c.l.e. June 1967. 50 cents. A little different, eh? So that's the one I read this week. I didn't read the short stories. There's a few short stories in the back, but I'll probably read them the rest of the week. This one I read in bed. Go to bed, turn the radio on, turn the lamp on, lay in bed and read until your eyes get tired, and time to shut the light off. That's the book I read this week, or digest magazine. Anyway, there you go, book lovers. That's the one I read this week. Talk to you later. Have a good weekend. Keep reading those books. Reading's good for you. It expands the horizon. Makes it bigger. Makes your brain bigger. That's what my dad told me.